One more thing you can do over here is the name attribute. So like here in auto wire by type, in the car, the engine reference is of the name engine, right? So that's why we have named the E3 bean as engine, because we wanted to inject that. So if I revert back to E3, then to satisfy auto wire by name, I can use the name attribute and keep it as engine. ऐसा भी ऑप्शन रख सकते हैं, ये भी इंजेक्ट कर देगा. ठीक है, तो लेट्स रन एंड चेक if it is working and whether Abdul Shakur's research is successful. Okay, so the car C3, we have given a, okay, it is missing somewhere. It is telling error creating bean C3, unsatisfied dependency through engine, no qualifying being expected, single matching found 5 E1 E2 E3 E4 E5. हाँ भाई अब्दुल शकूर, क्या बता रहा है आपका रिसर्च, क्या बता रहा है? अयोध्या अब्दुल शकूर यहाँ तो नहीं ले रहा है ये. हाँ ओके, बाय टाइप किया आपने ना, उसको बाय नेम करना पड़ेगा, है ना? इसको बाय नेम करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है. इसको सो इफ आई डू इट बाय नेम, then if we go and run it, it should work, right? Okay, so it has injected that engine. So that engine whose 1500 diesel Volvo engine. Yeah, 1500 diesel Volvo engine. Okay. So that is also one attribute. Yeah, give the reference in the name. In the name you can give the reference. Okay. Now we have one more task of life cycle management of the bean. So what I mean by life cycle management is, so what is immediately followed by the next step, the step which is immediate after that. So what do we call that? Okay, so if I give you an example that you have got offer letter and you have got date of joining. So when you go and join the company on the first day, when you have done the joining, what is the task which is done immediately after joining? Document submission. They will ask you to submit your documents, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And if you have then switched to a different company and you want to leave the company, so it is your last day of working. So on your last day, when you are quitting, what activity will be done just immediately before that? Surrender your resources. Surrender all your resources. So if the company has given you a laptop, ID card, whatever the company has given you, you have to surrender it back, right? So, so this is done immediately after, right? Immediately after. And this is done immediately before. Correct? Immediately before and immediately after, right? So when an object is created, which function is invoked? which function is invoked at the time of object creation? Which one? Constructor, right? So constructor is the function which is invoked immediately after object creation. So immediately after constructor, if you want to do any task, okay. So if you wish to perform any task immediately after constructor, okay, then which method is called at the time of object destruction? Yes. Which method is called at the time of object destruction? The destructor, right? Which is the destructor in Java? Finalize, right? So if you wish to perform any task just immediately before destruction, before object destruction. So if you want to perform any task immediately after object creation and you want to perform any task just before object destruction, we can mention that in the object life cycle or bean life cycle. Which topic? So bean life cycle will take care of the method which will be invoked immediately after constructor and immediately, yes, getting it? Okay. Now this bean life cycle can be carried out in three ways. How many ways? Three ways. Bean life cycle can be implemented in three ways. First is programmatic approach. Which approach? Second is the XML approach. And the third is the annotation approach. How many ways I can do this same task? Programmatic approach is invasive in nature. Invasive means it will insist on extending a class or implementing an interface. It is what in nature means insist insist on extending a class or implementing an interface. This is okay. So the interface which it insists is initializing bean, which is the interface, and this initializing bean interface has a method called after property set. Because what does the constructor do? It sets the properties, right? And there's one more interface. Okay, this is the interface. And there's one more interface called disposable bean. Called as what? Disposable bean. And this disposable bean has a method called destroy. Okay. So if you want to mention any task which you want to do immediately after the constructor. You can make a class which implements the bean and does that, then does what, then override which method. And if you want to do any task immediately just before the destructor, then override which method. Then your class should implement which interface. Getting it? This is we can do using programmatic approach. So let me show it to you. Okay, so maybe I'll make a new class. So I'll make a new class called as. Do we have any other class we have made previously? You can just use that class. Let's use a student class. So I'll copy the student class from here and put it over here. Let's create one rather. Okay. What does it will have? Private integer number, private. So yeah, then add all those things which you want to add. This is called as boilerplate code. Then when we do Spring Boot, we can eliminate this code by use of annotations. So no need to write such lengthy code. You can use annotations and get this one. Okay. So now I want to make a bean of this class. So let's use the constructor args. So I make a bean S1 of which class? Student class. Okay. Don't auto add a thing. So we have three arguments. Okay. So I want to make a constructor 18 Virat and 78.5. So this will call which constructor? So this will call this, right? So I will say sys out all args constructor invoked for student. Okay, so now immediately after this, I want to call a function. So what will I do now over here? Yeah, try this one and disposal. So now when you have promised that you want to implement the interface, then what you have to do? Override the methods. So when I click on this add unimplemented methods, you see over here. Okay. So if I do over here sys out immediately after constructor, right? And what you want to do over here is sys out immediately student class destruct. Okay, so We'll write the destructor also then. Okay. Okay. So now when I go over here, I make a new driver app, for being life cycle. So you will make using what? S1. S1 will be of. Okay. Destructor is called when the object is destroyed, and when the bean factory shut down, all the objects are destroyed. So for that, you have to shut down the bean factory. So bean factory dot. There are certain methods using which we can shut down the bean factory. Let me just check those methods. Okay. So let me just check. Okay. And then we'll also call the garbage collector. Okay. So now we have system dot out. We have system dot gc. So garbage collector will come and destroy the object. So while object destruction, the constructor should be called. So here, as we are creating the object using all args constructor, it will call the student all args constructor, and immediately after that, it will call the after properties set. And when the object is destroyed, it will call the finalize, and just before that, it will call the destroy function also, right? See over here. All args constructor for student, right? Immediately after, then display the student object, right? And when the object got destroyed, immediately before the student class, destroy. Getting it? So like this we can understand the bean life cycle. So which function you want to call immediately after constructor, and which function you want to call just before destruction. So this was using which approach? Programmatic approach. Second, we can use using XML approach. So in XML approach, what we do is XML is non-invasive. So we will not insist on implementing any interface. Okay. So now the class doesn't implement any interface. Does it implement? So there is no question of overriding because there is no parent class. Yes or no? So now what I do is I name this function as whatever I want to name. So let's say I name it as morning, and let's say I name it as night. So what is morning? Morning is after property set, right? Now what is night? And no need to throw the exception also, right? So now I have my own custom methods, right? So I can now put them over here in the bean that the property called init method. What is it? What is that? And there's a function called destroy method. What is that? these are my custom methods. I have given any name to it. You all can give anything to it. So now my class is non-invasive. Where is this destroy? Okay, this is the finalize. Yes, this is the finalize. Normally this is used to free up resources, so it doesn't print any message. So this I am giving it as no need to throw any exception, no need to add anything, but it is not. Okay, so now I will give my own custom methods, and now they will do the task. So I am not using any invasive way, not insisting to implement any interface. So I can now do a control shift O and remove the unwanted imports. And now this will still work perfectly fine. Getting it? Then there is one more way which we can use annotations. Now to use that annotation, we'll have to do some changes in our XML file. We have to add one thing. So we will have to add this annotation config. Okay. So go to your context and add this over here. Just under the bean, add it over here. Okay. And now you can use annotations. So no need to do any XML. No need to do anything in the XML. So I'm just closing this over here and commenting this much out so that this, now have I given any init method or destroy method? Am I using XML? Am I using any XML way? Am I using any invasive way? So I can then use annotations. So when will this function be called morning function? You can give any name to it, okay? You can give any name to it. So when will this function called be called AAA? After means pre or post, and constructor means post construct. Post construct. And this will be called before or after. Before means pre-destroy. Pre-destroy. Okay. So we can use these annotations. And now when you go and run, you will get the same output. Okay, all good. So this was what? This was bean life cycle.